Peloton was once the darling of the pandemic, but it's had a rough few months, losing $439 million and laying off part of its workforce as exercisers return to the gym. But I think I have a solution for both Peloton and the owners worried about abandoning their pricey purchases. Ride your Peloton to the gym. Oh, wait. Ready. Hey everyone, welcome to Break It Yourself. After 2 years of use, I'm gonna give you my pros and cons of Peloton. Now, if you've been living under a rock the past half decade or so, Peloton has 2 bikes and a treadmill. All those products have screens on them, and they're gonna bring live or on-demand classes into your home. And it really helps take the thought out of exercise, which I personally love. There are 2 versions of the Bike and the Bike Plus, and I have done a video comparing those if you want to check that out. General information about the bikes: they can accommodate a rider up to 297 pounds, a minimum height of 4'11", and a maximum height of 6'5". Now that we got the general information out of the way, let's talk about the pros of the Peloton Bike. And full disclosure here, I've owned the Bike as well as the Bike Plus. A vast majority of my time spent on the Peloton was the regular Bike. And then about 6 months ago, I upgraded to the Bike Plus. Again, you can check out that video if you want to see the comparisons. These pros will really be for both bikes, and the cons will also apply to both. I'm not an Ironman. I'm not even a triathlete. I don't do any of that stuff. I don't even ride a bike outside. I'm just a regular guy who enjoys exercise and likes to prioritize it in my life, trying to help you out if you're looking for a Peloton. And the number one thing that I love about Peloton is the convenience. I originally purchased a Peloton to supplement other exercise that I was doing. I like to do high intensity interval training style exercise. Got a home gym set up in the garage, got all kinds of equipment. And then on a few days a week, I would do the Peloton, especially because I was having knee issues. And fast forward 2 years, and sadly, most of my exercise is actually now on the Peloton Bike. I had a daughter 17 months ago, and I just love the convenience. I can hop on for a 20-minute class or a 30-minute class, get on, 30 minutes later, I'm done. I don't have to set up in the carport. I'm not looking up exercises. It's totally thoughtless, unbelievably convenient, and that is by far my favorite thing about the Peloton experience. Now, I said I had a daughter 17 months ago. One of the best things about the Peloton is it is unbelievably quiet. So if you have headphones that you can either plug into the bike or connect with Bluetooth, awesome experience. If it's almost, you can't even tell when someone's on it except for their breathing. You hear the breathing, you don't hear the bike. Very quiet, you can ride it late at night, early in the morning, and you're not gonna disturb your family whatsoever. While they do want you to have roughly a 2 foot by 5 foot space for the bike, that might sound like a lot, but when it comes to all the other equipment that I have, this bike really doesn't take up that much space. You could put it in a bedroom. For us, it's in our laundry room, and it really doesn't take up a ton of space. I know this is very subjective depending on what you're used to when it comes to space. And if you have a very small space like an apartment or something like that, it is gonna seem like it takes up way more space. But for us, in our house, it fits in our laundry room just fine, and it really doesn't take up a ton of space compared to like a total gym setup or something like that. Another pro is that the classes are incredibly motivating. The bike is not going to motivate you to get on the bike, but once you're on, it is incredibly motivating. So I've tried to say this in most all of my videos. For you to exercise, that's on you. This bike is not going to change your life and all of a sudden get you to be like, oh, I love exercise. Maybe it might do that, but for a vast majority of people, no, that is not going to be the case. That's going to come from your desire within to actually make yourself get on the bike. But once you do that, Those classes are incredibly motivating. Those coaches do a great job getting you motivated to push harder. And another thing is having that live leaderboard. At least for me, I'm competitive. It is very motivating to see people kind of close to me. If someone's coming up behind me, then I'm motivated to try harder to make sure they can't pass me. Or if I'm really close to somebody, I'm motivated to try to pass them up. So the bike, once you're on it, is very motivating. This next pro is just kind of around the general tech. I like that a heart rate monitor can be incorporated. That applies to both bikes. You can use your Apple Watch on the new Bike Plus. I really like being able to see that heart rate metric on the side. You can also see your cadence and your resistance real time on the screen. And the class also tells you what both of those should be. And if you have the Bike Plus, it can automatically adjust the resistance for you. So when I said earlier in the intro about how it takes the thought out of exercise, I really mean that specifically, especially for the metrics. You can see what your cadence should be. You can see what your resistance should be. So if you want to, you can listen to a podcast or watch a TV show and you don't even have to listen to the coach whatsoever. In fact, you could cover the screen. I used to put my iPad over the screen just so I could see the metrics at the bottom, and that was good enough. And I could just move to that. Now, some people might not like that because they want the motivation of the coach, but I've really found myself really in the past year, I probably haven't listened to a single class. I'm still motivated because I can see the leaderboard and I'm competitive, and I still get a good exercise and I can still see those metrics. So I really like how that functions. And the difference with the bike versus the Bike Plus, the bike, you're gonna manually adjust the resistance, and in the Bike Plus, you have the ability to automatically adjust the resistance. So just letting you know those differences. Another pro is the amount of content that Peloton produces. It is staggering. Every day I open up that screen and it's like I just seeing tons of new classes. So you're really not gonna get tired of the classes, as they have dozens of new classes every day. And it's not just spin classes. So you can use the screen on the bike, you can cast it to another device, or you could use your phone or iPad and download the Peloton app. And you have access, if you're paying monthly, which we'll get into later, you'll have access to their suite of instructors and different types of classes. And they range from just stretching, yoga, abs, arms, legs, full body. So you can get the spin experience, you can get the tread experience, but you can also get really any type of workout that you're looking for. They're gonna have it in their ecosystem. Another pro is that the bikes have become more financially accessible. They have lowered the price of the Bike Plus and they've lowered the price of the bike. This could be seen as a pro and a con. This leads us right into the cons, because if you bought the bike a while ago when the price was still high, you feel kind of slighted because the price has come down significantly. So what you're looking at right now for the Bike Plus is $1,995 at the time of filming, and that does include delivery and setup. For the regular bike, it's $1,195. That seems way cheaper, except there's a little asterisk that says that doesn't include delivery and setup. Delivery and setup costs $250. So for the bike, when it's all said and done, you've paid $1,445 versus $1,995. So about a $550 difference between the Bike Plus and the bike. And again, if you want help in deciding which one, go ahead and check out my video. But they have become a bit more accessible, still very expensive. I think the $1,400 one is a pretty good deal. This spin bike is probably, if you were just buying a similar spin bike, you're probably gonna spend $700, $800, $900. Add in the screen and the experience, plus delivery and setup, $1,400 doesn't seem all that bad. We sold our regular bike for about $1,000. This was, 6 months ago before the price dropped more. And we bought this bike for the price of about $1,995. The reason I upgraded really and truly was just because YouTube, I can do reviews on this stuff, and I wanted to review the next product that came out. I do love the auto follow feature, but the con could be, at any given time you could buy it and maybe the price would drop even more. The pro being it's more accessible, more people can get them now, so you have more faith that the product potentially could stay around longer. Don't look at Peloton's stock price. It's been all over the place. So this segues perfectly into the cons, just generally the price. $1,995 is a ton of money, and $1,400 is also a ton of money. So these things are very expensive, but my general rule is if you are going to use it, that's a huge if. A majority of people buy this stuff and don't use it, but if you're gonna use it, I say that you can't put a price on your health. If you're gonna use this thing, awesome. I don't really care if it's 1,500 bucks. If it's gonna get you on the bike, if it's gonna get you in shape, it's gonna get you in healthy, then it's worth it. Totally worth it. Let me just check right now how many rides I have in 2 years on the bike. I have 352 rides in 2 years, whatever that comes out to, however often that is. I don't know. I'm averaging one every 2 days, something like that. Is that right? So I use it. I use these products. And so I think if you're going to, that's going to be excellent, but they are expensive. Another huge con, because this is kind of seen like tech, right? Like just like your phone. Eventually that iPhone or Android you have is going to become unsupported. And that the same thing's gonna happen with this bike. Eventually, the model that you have, Peloton will not be able to support it anymore, whether it's the screen or the bike or both. So that's kind of a bummer. So know that going in, you're gonna spend a bunch of money, and they probably will support it for a very long time, but eventually it's gonna get to the point where it's gonna be unsupported. And so I upgraded from the bike to the Bike Plus, and that was expensive for me to do. That might be something that continues to happen to us, right? Your bike is 7 years old and you're like, oh man, maybe I should upgrade. Peloton does usually offer a trade-in. So you turn your old bike in, they'll give you a credit towards a new bike. To give you an idea, when I went to turn my regular bike in, the credit I believe was $700, and then I ended up selling it for $1,000. So a little bit more hassle to sell it yourself, but I made $300 more. This is probably the biggest con, but Peloton totally has you cornered once you get into this bike. And you have to pay that monthly fee. That just went up this week. So it used to be 39 bucks a month. Now it went up to something like $44 a month. And what can I do? It's not like I can go get another provider to bring me content on that same screen. I am pinned in to Peloton. And so if they keep deciding, hey, we're gonna increase the price, I'm stuck. There's not much I can do. There's really nothing I can do. Let's say in the future, Peloton raises the price to 60 bucks a month and you say, I've had it, I can't pay that anymore. What would you actually be left with on this bike? Obviously you would still have the bike and a screen, but without that monthly membership, the only two things you get are the Just Ride feature, which means there's nothing on the screen and you can see the 2 metrics, which, okay, I guess that's good. And they would give you 3 pre-picked classes, just 3 random classes. And these would be pre-recorded, not live. So that's all you get. And it doesn't save any of your metrics, doesn't track any of your stuff. Your profile is not gonna keep, like I just showed you how I had 350 something workouts. You're not gonna have that anymore. It's just gonna let you see the metrics during that ride, ride's over, and then it's gone. Which is probably no big deal, but I just wanna let you know, full disclosure, if you're not paying monthly, you obviously are severely inhibited. But at least the bike will pedal and you can see your metrics. Even with that said, these Peloton bikes have been a net positive in our family. My wife has used it a ton. I obviously have used it a ton over the last 2 years. It's been keeping me exercising, keeping me in shape, and for that, I'm very thankful. I know Peloton gets a lot of hate just because of, I guess, the stigma that comes along with it. And I make fun of the stigma, of course, as well. But for me and my family, it has been awesome, an amazing tool in fitness, and has really kept us on track, getting our heart rates up, which is really what we're going for. I hope this video was helpful if you're trying to decide if you're gonna take the plunge and get a Peloton or not. If you get one, please use it. Know ahead of time that you have to be disciplined enough to actually get on that bike. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch Break It Yourself. I really do appreciate it. As always, don't forget to thumbs me up, and we will see you next time.